Here are two pie charts, one from the ABA figures and the other from the information given to the ACCC by Coles. The ABA chart is based on a 250 kilogram carcass, which would cost $1,000 from the producer at $4 a kilogram. From this carcass, the retailer should get 70% yield or 175 kilograms of saleable meat. The MLA figures suggest the retail price of beef averages $16 a kilogram, multiplied by 175 kilograms gives a total of $2,800 retail. If the producer gets $4 a kilogram for a dressed carcass, then he's only getting 37% of the retail price, while Coles suggests that the producer is getting 53% or $6 a kilogram. At this time, most producers are only getting $3.30 a kilogram, or less than 30% of the retail dollar. The margin after cost, according to the ABA, is 54%, while Coles says 3%. The ABA is happy to submit their figures for assessment on the condition that the major supermarkets do the same. Retail margins have risen by 60% over the last decade, while producer returns have flatlined and seem likely to decrease in the near future, though the cost of production continues to rise on an annual basis. Everybody has a different cost of production, so it goes up by 5% per annum. This graph clearly shows the gap increasing between the producers and the retailer's profit. ACCC argue that if sale yard prices represent 20% of retail price and sale yard prices drop by 10%, then the retail price should drop by 2%. In the same ACCC report, Coles suggests that the producer gets 53% of the end retail price. Again, this shows the extraordinary difference between producer and retailer profit margins, and that the trend is growing stronger. At this point, it's worth wondering who's looking after producers' interests, certainly not the MLA or the Cattle Council. Who gets what share of the retail dollar? It is clearly visible that the retailers are receiving increasing profits as displayed in red. In 1999, the meat from a 200 kilogram carcass yielded $1,400 worth of meat. In 2009, that tally had risen to nearly $2,300. USA versus Australia clearly shows that the USA producers are receiving nearly 50% of the retail dollar, while the Australian producer still only receives 30%. Latest figures suggest USA producers receive 49.5% of the retail dollar. USA producers pay a $1 statutory levy, while Australian producers pay a $5 levy. The USA has no LPA or NLIS, and yet they've had BSE in their country, and now we find that they're getting back into Japan and Korea at the cost of Australian exports. Now we are finding that the US is signing a free trade agreement with Korea. The US producers have a well-resourced and funded lobbying group in direct contrast to Australia, who spend through a statutory levy of $60 million spent on R&D and marketing and no political lobbying. MLA, by its charter, are forbidden to get involved in politics. Unlike Australian supermarkets, processors and retailers who have very functional and well-resourced marketing arms. Red meat structure is simply a $170 million dog's breakfast designed for R&D and marketing and the whole red meat structure only. It has proven to be complicated and unworkable. Producers want as much as possible, while processors, retailers and supermarkets want to pay as little as possible for livestock. Over history it's proven that a man cannot serve two masters. Cattle and sheep producers have a statutory transaction levy of $30 million for sheep and $60 million for cattle. This money is collected by the government and is passed directly to the MLA. In theory, the Cattle Council, being the political voice of the beef producers, should have a say over what the MLA does. In practice, they are under-resourced and very dysfunctional. This should not be seen as a slight towards the staff of the Cattle Council, who do a valiant job with very limited resources. Time and time again, the producers have not had any political voice. It has become evident that the producers need a vibrant political voice. Compare this chart of the producer's input into the MLA to the previous slide. Processors contribute $9 to $13 million into the MLA coffers. As one can see, it needs to go through the AMPC, who are very politically focused and have an excess of $20 million in their coffers. On the other hand, retailers and supermarkets contribute nothing at all, yet spend huge amounts of MLA money on advertising. MLA has a designated officer working on each account for Coles and Woolworths. What can producers do? If their grass-fed levy went into a one-stop shop that focused producers' interests, then we may see producers receiving their due returns. This could be a one-stop shop that focused on R&D, marketing and political lobbying. There are several ways that this may work. The AWI and Pork Corporation are two examples. As it stands now, the fox is in charge of the hen house. Do we even need an MLA? Indonesia is a prime example of the current structure. The federal government have now offered the Indonesians $20 million in aid to improve their beef industry. How much will they offer Australian producers to cover their losses when things go wrong, like the loss of the Indonesian market?